Hello, Hollywood Times viewers. Today we welcome singer, songwriter, country music singer, songwriter, Lee Newton. We're going to talk to her about her newest album and upcoming albums and everything that she's been doing. So let's get started. Lee, how you doing?
I'm good, Judy. How are you?
I'm fabulous. I sort of love Zoom, because we can't meet in person. So we get to be in I'm assuming that your living room. Look how beautiful that is.
It is, yeah. I'm in my home waiting for the snow to come in North Carolina. So it's already hit Nashville and it's heading this way. And so I think we're supposed to get down to like 1 and 2 degree temperatures, like sub-zero. So it's gonna be cold.
My goodness. Is it kind of normal for you to have snow about this time, or is it a little
Um, I
not?
grew up in the mountains, which
Okay.
was in Canton, North Carolina. It's a little small town, and we would get a lot of snow growing up. I mean, we would have these big snow. I mean, they'd be way up to here. And then, like over time, we've not really got as much snow, but we still get it. But where I live now, it's kind of hit or miss. But when we get it big time. So I think we're going to get it as of tomorrow. So we've got our snow boots. We got stuff ready for snow cream. We are
Oh
ready.
my
Of course, like, being nicknamed Hollywood from my mom when I was little,
How did you get that nickname?
because I am a dreamer. I have always been a little dreamer since I've been a little girl. And, my mom, she honed in on that. Because she could see that I was like this little actress, always trying to make people laugh and going around, imitating and singing. And then my dad, who was a cab driver, he's the one that started teaching me how to play the guitar when I was 7. So, we grew up, you know, pretty poor, and everybody's got their story. I always say that. And but my memories of my dad is sitting at the cab stand and him teaching me how to play the guitar. And he really showed me the true meaning of country music, and he really pushed my dreams when I was little. So, but he passed away when I was 11. So I've always been just really close with music because it makes me feel like I'm there with my dad.
Yes. My dad passed away. It'll be 2 years this month. He was 93, and country music came from him. I mean, he took us, we used to travel every summer. He was from Oklahoma, so he would take us. He had kinfolks in Arkansas and Missouri, so we would go all there. But he'd take us, to the Grand Ole Opry, and yet I had an older brother and a younger sister. They didn't want to go, or my mom, so it'd be my dad and I. I mean, I went to the Ryman when I was like 12 years old and saw Marty Robbins, and I fell in love. And
Oh my gosh,
I've had so
really?
many stories of how many people I've met because of, thanks to my dad. And now I do this and I get to meet people like you too, singer
So
songwriter.
so you get to have that. I mean, like that, I'm sure that reminds you of the memories that you had with
Yeah.
your dad. I mean, it's the
Mhm.
same kind of like with me. He used to sit me up on the coffee table when I was a little girl, and he named me Brenda Lee. And I'm named
Oh,
after Brenda Lee, the one that sings "Rocking Around the
that's
Christmas Tree."
cool.
And he always says, you're going to be on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry one day.
Oh,
And I finally, I didn't get to sing for the actual Grand Ole Opry show, but
yeah.
I got to in October stand on the Opry stage and
Oh,
perform my song Carolina on the stage in the circle.
oh.
And I had my daddy's cab driver's hat on
Hmm.
a mic stand. So he was there with me, and it was just a magical moment that I had chased and dreamed of my whole life. So that was amazing. That was at the JMA Awards, and they had it at the Opry House. So it's pretty amazing.
Wow.
Especially after I just got through winning Artist of the Year too for traditional country music. So I was like, yes, it was awesome.
What was it like to stand in that circle up there? I mean,
There's no other feeling like it. I mean, I didn't know how I was going to feel. I knew I was going to try not to cry because the song is a very emotional song. The song Carolina,
yes, it
that's
is.
from my Unleashed album, it's autobiographical. It was a wrote for a tribute to my mom and dad, and how I grew up, and where I came from. And so the very last part of the song, it says, "Tonight I'm on this Opry stage. I can almost see my daddy's face, proud of his little girl from Carolina."
Oh,
And I've never been able to sing that. Everybody I've opened up for, all the stages I've been since I've done the song, I will say, tonight I'm on this Tennessee stage, or I'm on this Nashville stage, or I'm on Randy Travis stage. You know, I never put Opry. And so that night I got to walk into that circle and take that deep breath and just try to hold back tears and just try to make my daddy so proud. And yeah, it's very overwhelming. Now afterwards, yeah, I cried like a baby.
Good for you.
But my husband was in the front row,
Oh,
and I knew that if I looked at him, I would lose it because he's very emotional too, and he was crying, and I didn't look at him. I was like, I'm not looking at you. I just kept playing my cool guitar, and I just was like, I'm doing this. But I'm still, you know, my dream is still to hopefully one day be invited, you know, by the Opry and actually get to sing on the Opry stage for the Grand Ole Opry. That's still my dream.
Yes, yes, and we will keep prayers for that because we know it's going to happen. You have an amazing angelical voice. I love all your music that you do.
Thank you so much. I have been really blessed. You know, my whole life, but in these last few years, I've really been blessed. God has just gave me so many opportunities and put so many influential, iconic legends, you know, people, the greats of great of country music, you know, in my life. And, you know, I've either got to open up for them or they've, you know, I just released my gospel album last year. And I had, you know, T. Graham Brown and Joe Bonsall with the Oak Ridge Boys and Rhonda Vincent and Deborah Allen. And I'm telling you, there was so many amazing artists on there. I was just, you know, I did it because I always wanted to do a gospel album. Yeah. And that was, you know, I was going to do that before I did my next album. And sure enough, God made a way for me to do it. And he did it with a bang because I had the best of the best on that album. And everybody poured their heart and soul into each song. And each song it's kind of wild because each song showcases each artist. Wow. Like, you know, Rhonda Vincent and mine there, it's very bluegrass. And then I've got me and T. Graham, and it's very bluesy. You know, it's a very bluesy version. So, you know, there's different styles on there. And there's only one original that I wrote on that one called Change the Ending. And so that one, you know, is the only original, but the rest of them are, you know, hymns and stuff that I grew up listening to in church.
What's that one called? What's the title of that album?
The title of that album is called Crossroads.
Crossroads. Okay. Very good.
Yep. Crossroads is the name of that one. And, you know, in my one song that I wrote called Strength of a Woman, and there's a line and it says, when you're at the crossroads, you know, you got to choose which way you're going to go. Always, you know, choose the high road. You know, you're better off that way. And so when I come to think of the name, I'm like, you know, everybody gets to a crossroads at some point in their life, no matter what it is, you know, and you know, it felt fitting for that album. And like I said, every one of them, everybody that joined me on it, and my husband did a duet with me on there as well. And it was just my little boy's on the very end of it, and it actually made it to the first ballot of the Grammys. So I was very, very proud of that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, how exciting. I mean, to have your husband involved and your son, that's got to be a proud wife and a proud mama.
Exactly right. You know, that's the way it is. You know, I mean, I've got such a great circle of friends too that and I don't like calling them fans. A lot of people call them fans. They're not fans to me. They're, you know, they're my friends. I really try to connect with everybody that listens to me and shares my stuff. And they have really pushed, and I think they've made that dream of me being on the Opry their dream too. So they're just rooting me on, and it's a great feeling.
Wow. Well, I'm a huge fan from back in the days in the 90s. Randy Travis. I was like one of those groupies, and I follow him, love him today. I'm just so blessed that he's doing better and he's out there. What was it like to open up for Randy Travis?
That right there, other than the Opry, getting to stand on the stage, getting to open for Randy Travis was one of the best moments of my musical career. And I've had several amazing, wonderful moments, but my dad, when it was right before, because see, Randy came out in 1989.
Yeah.
And my daddy died in 1989. So but he fell in love with Randy Travis, and he would play Digging Up Bones and all the songs on the other hand. And I mean, that cassette just was worn out. And we were at the cab stand, and I remember he had recorded me singing one of Randy's songs. And in the clip of it, I was 7 years old too, or maybe a little bit older, but I'm singing and I forget the words, and you can hear my daddy like feeding me the words to this Randy Travis song. So move forward years later. I mean, who would have ever thought, being that little girl, that not only get an open for him, but he was out there on the stage with me while I'm doing my sound check. And he's sitting there, and I'm sitting on the riser at the drums, and I get to tell him this story and get to tell him how much my daddy just loved him and how much I loved him. And he was so kind, and just the smile on his face. And Mary, his wife, is just an angel. They both treated me, because I'm just a little girl from Carolina, I'm a little driver's daughter, but they didn't treat me that way. They treated me so wonderful. And after I opened and I had went backstage, they were getting ready to walk on when James Dupree, was singing, and they were getting ready to go on. And Randy, I was standing behind him, and Randy had saw my husband standing a few feet from him, and he kind of tried to grab for my husband, and my husband got down, and I heard I heard my husband say, "Oh, she'll love to hear that." So of course, I run right up there, because I'm like, "Oh," and so I get up there and I bend down, and he has a hold of me, and he said, and he made it to where, he said it. He said, "You did good." And in that moment, I said, you have given me something. I know that you know how it feels. I said, because you've been on the stage when you were starting out with George Jones, and I'm sure that you felt the same feeling that you've given me right now, being on this stage, and you've given me this compliment and getting to have this experience, because not many people get to do that. And I would have never in a million years thought that I would get to ever do anything like that. But I've been very blessed. Like I said, I've opened for, Randy, Ronnie Millsap, another North Carolinian. And that was another thing that was very special, is because Randy's from North Carolina, and then so Ronnie Millsap, I got to open for him, and the Gatlin brothers, and Diamond Rio, and T.G. Shepherd, and just, the list goes on and on. Stuff like this it's God. He has like literally just made everything just kind of come together. But all the struggles and everything that I've went through up until this point really has prepared me for not only just being ready, but I've aged, and I've matured, and I've lived the stuff that I write about. And so when I sing, it's it's from the heart. And when I get messages from people that I've really touched their hearts, and they say that I've wrote about their life. I just got one yesterday, and I posted the comment because it was so touching. Her name's Kim, and she ended up losing both of her arms, both of her legs. And she literally started using my song, "The Strength of a Woman," as her anthem. And she got fitted for her prosthetics. She started learning how to cook and walk, and next thing you know, in this video, she's skydiving, and she's snorkeling, and she is a runway model, and she's wrote a book, and she is such a beautiful person. And she, to know that my song inspires her or helps her get through the day, that's what it's all about right there to me. They just don't get any better than that. That's, to me, that's what you call making it. When you can have an impact like that, even if it's one person, that's what that's what I'm called to do. I know that.
Yeah, that's why I love speaking with songwriters because I've had music in my life my whole life. I can't imagine not a day does not go by where I have some type of music and it just happens to be country. But just song, without the songwriter, we like folks like you and Chris Stapleton, those who sing their own songs they write, but others it takes someone else to sing it to make it their own, like George Strait, all those years, all those songs that he never wrote, but yet
Yeah,
that
he
songwriter
took
wrote
them
it.
and he made it. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the thing. Even if I don't sing, because I do a lot of covers, I'll do, I'll post some people want me to sing certain songs.
Yeah.
And, if I feel like I can't do it justice, or if I feel like I can't feel it in some way, then
Hmm.
I won't do it. Because I've always I didn't want to be just up there singing and it sound pretty. You know,
Yeah,
I
makes
want
sense.
I want people to feel what I'm singing, and those imperfections, if there's a crack in the voice or if there's, that's what makes it. That's what makes
Mhm.
the artist who they are. And I most definitely really try to pick songs like perfect example. My new single from my new album. It's called Carolina Rain.
Right?
Carolina Rain, I did not write this song. This song is 20 years old.
Mm.
The songwriters on it is Tommy Barnes and Charlie Floyd. And Tommy Barnes wrote one of my other songs that's on the Unleashed album. But my husband played this song for me about 2.5 years ago. And I cried like a baby, and I played it over and over because I couldn't even get past the point of, every time tears fill my eyes, every time I passed by Daddy's grave, and I would cry. And it took me that long. I was like, I'm going to record that song one day. It's going to be on one of my albums. And sure enough, it's the first single off of this one, and it's going to be the album title of it. But I was like, I have to record this song, and people think that I have wrote it because they know so much about me and they've heard my other songs, and they said, man, that song was wrote for you.
Yeah.
But it's wild because it's Carolina Rain, but I've had people all over the world. I mean, it's playing in Ireland, it's playing in the
Mhm.
UK, it's everywhere, Australia, everywhere. And people are getting to that song or they're feeling a connection with it because it makes them feel like home. It's got just that home feeling, and so that's the power of a song.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's and I always say that, my dad, I've got his driver's license and I
Oh,
have my memories of him, but he gave me the biggest gift anybody could ever give me, was that the gift of music.
yes.
Because when he's not been here, but he gave me something and a love and a passion for it so much that, if I'm having a bad day or sad, you can turn to music, you find the right song that's going to, it's almost like I have him tell me, it is like a comfort. If I'm happy, I get to go and dance to a song. And,
Yes.
you know, it's just, that was the best gift that he could have ever given me. My older sister, she got to go out and he taught her how to play softball. Um,
Mm.
he had so many heart attacks before I was born, because I was born 8 years later, and he was a little bit older. And, I got the music part of it, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, it's something. It's like there's times in my life when I just feel like I need to cry. I got to get it
Mhm.
out. And so to me, I go to a song that my dad told me and showed me about, and I haven't even met George Jones, was He Stopped Loving Her Today, because that would make
Uh,
my dad cry. The one song that made him cry, I thought, if that could make my dad cry, I've got to, really. So that's my go-to song. It just makes
yeah.
me cry, and
Well,
it
and
made me cry.
there's one that I cannot. I mean, I can try. I try to do it, but I do break every time. But the Daddy's Hands.
Oh, yes. Yes. Another one.
I don't know. I don't think I could ever do that song live. Sometimes when I record it here and I'll post it,
Yeah.
I have to do it several times because my throat literally chokes up
You can't
and I
sing.
start, no,
Yeah.
because it's very hard, especially on emotional songs, because
Yeah.
you want to show your emotion, but you can't show it too much because it messes with your voice, and you want to be able to sing it, but yet still convey that emotion. But yeah, that one, I will never be able to do that one live because,
Yeah, we had that
yeah.
one at his funeral because that is like I have
Mm.
3 sisters, so that was our song for him as well,
Yeah,
so.
that one's for that one. And my mom's was Beulah Land. And that's
Oh,
another reason why I didn't put that one on the album, because I just can't get through it. That's what was played at her funeral, and I just cannot do it. But yeah, there's just certain songs that are it's just the power of music and the power of the songwriter, like you said. And sometimes, these songs, they don't get recognized enough for the songwriter,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and it's the person behind the pen, but it's more or less God giving you the words to put down through that pen. He chooses you. And there's been times where there's songs, when I write songs, there'll be songs that they come so easy. Strength of a Woman came so easy, and I mean it was flowing out of me to write. And my husband, we were talking, those are called like gift songs. And then you have the other ones where they're kind of craft songs, where you might write part of the verse here, and then you have a chorus here, and it takes you a year or two, and then all of a sudden it goes together, but it's just crazy how that works. But yeah, I love writing songs. I love and enjoy it so much. But I do love the whole process of seeing when you're writing a song, and then by the time you get to the studio, and then you see all the musicians adding their magic, and this, I call it a baby coming to life, because it's just such a beautiful moment seeing it all come together, then hearing it for the first time done,
Yeah.
and seeing it from where it began. And then of course, getting it out to people. It's just, I get such a rush from that.
So, you as a songwriter, do you write different ways? Like, does it come to you and you start writing it down, or do you hum a tune that you think that goes with it? You start playing your guitar. Tell us a little bit about your style.
Yeah, well, mine's a little bit of both. And I know there's some songwriters that will, they're paid to go and they sit in a room with a few other songwriters, and they just say, okay, what we're going to write about today, and they get something they write. I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I am one that will either hear something that will trigger like perfect example. My little boy had come up to me last year, and he was meaning, he's a little, and he was going to mean like, I'll never break your heart. But he put, Mommy, I'll never break my heart on you. And I was like, so of course I started, I'll never break my heart on you again. So I started writing. I mean, and you just start, and I get my guitar and I start, and it'll come. And then there's some where I will just start singing like a line, and I'll have it in my phone recorder. I'll be on the road. There was Red, White, and Blue is perfect example. Red, White, and Blue. One of my friends, she had a summer beautiful romance with this guy, and they were just a perfect sweet little couple. And she had a little blonde-headed little girl, and next thing you know, she had been posting about this, her whole summer, them dating and being together, and they come together like they were going to be together. And then he gets deployed and the guy has to go off. And so she's post this picture, and it said, he's packing his greens and we're packing our red, white, and blue. And I was like, oh man. So I my husband was on the road, and I called him. I said, okay. I said, I've got to write a song. I said, this song, there's a song in here. I just love this, there. So about 2 weeks later, I had been working on it, and I had gotten like the first part of it, and I played it for him. And he was like, okay, I want in on it. So that night, over FaceTime, we wrote the rest of Red, White, and Blue. And that was our first baby writing together. That was our song. So it's very special. It's a very, very special song. And then Tim Watson added the fiddle to it. And, you know, he plays for Kid Rock. And he added that beautiful fiddle to it. And Mike Rogers, who he is with Ricky Skaggs, and he is also with Brothers of the Heart. He does that, and he actually played the drums for me when I sang on the stage of the Opry. So it was very, and he actually is singing on Carolina Rain too.
Wow.
But Red, White, and Blue is just a beautiful tribute, because, you know, there's a lot of songs for the military that go, but there's not a lot for the families that are left behind, you know, and that have to keep still making, you know, life happen. You know, they have kids, you know, they have the bills still come, and but they're, you know, they're hurt because their loved ones, you know, gone. And they, you know, I know that there's so much worry, and that song, it was beautiful, and it's one of my favorites. I have so many favorites, but that's one of my favorites.
Oh, I know, it blew me away, and I was like, wow. I said, this is definitely an anthem for all of those men and women who are left behind.
Yeah, I never had to go through that.
Yeah.
But my daughter, I have a 24-year-old daughter, and after we had split up, her dad had went back to war. Oh. And so I had to see it from her part of seeing, you know, so I pulled from that. I pulled from just thinking about the love. And then I was thinking about, you know, my husband, which we weren't married at the time, but, you know, he's on the road a lot, and, you know, he's on the road right now. And sometimes I don't get to see him for a while. So it's like, you know, I pulled from that too, just because, you know, when you're apart from somebody, but I can't imagine them being completely gone and in a war zone.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
So, you know, it's got to be so hard to go through that. And I salute everybody and thank them for their sacrifice that they make. You know,
that's a strong woman or man, you know, to stay behind and you know, keep that love and that family together. Whew.
Yeah, because I mean, it can't be easy, you know, especially, you know, whether it be the man or a woman at home, you know, taking care of the kids and making sure that, you know, everything still goes. And I tip my hat to them because they showed a bunch of respect. So.
Oh my goodness. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about that song, Working Girl Blues. I think is that the one you recorded that with Pam Tillis was on it?
Yeah.
Leona Williams and Leroy.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get all those three people together?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, so Unleashed, on my Unleashed album, there's 9 of the 13 songs on there I wrote. The rest of them I either co-wrote, or there's 2 songs that I did not write. And then there's one cover. And the one cover is the cover of Merle Haggard's Working Man Blues.
Okay.
And my husband had introduced me to the music of Leona Williams.
Wow.
And Leona Williams was married to Merle.
Yes.
But she had a career before she got with Merle. I mean, she played with, you know, her wrote songs, and she had already played the Opry, and she played with Loretta Lynn. She actually played bass with Loretta Lynn. But she married Merle, and they had, you know, their time, and they had their songs. But she afterwards, she recorded years later, she recorded an album of singing about Merle, all the Merle songs. So Working Girl Blues, she had done Working Girl Blues. And so my husband played it for me. I'm like, oh my dear gosh, where have I been? I have loved this. You know, I always loved Working Man Blues, but I had never thought about singing Working Girl Blues. So I started doing it in my live shows. So when I was coming up for the one of the songs for the album, I'm like, well, I'm going to cut Working Girl Blues. And I had this in my mind. I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask Leona. I'm going to send her a message, and I'm going to be like, you know, she wants to be on this song because she's the one that recorded it, Working Girl Blues. So I sent her a message, and I was like crossing my fingers, and she ended up writing back sweetest as she can. But she's kind of like my bonus mom now. I mean, I've got her pictures up here on the panel. I mean, I love her so much. But she called back and she's like, well, surely I'll sing with you. And so I was like, okay. So then my producer, he's friends with Pam. And so he sent over the rough copy over to Pam, and he called me and he's like, Lee, he says, not meaning nothing about your singing. He said, but I really thought it would take Pam a little bit longer to respond. He said, and she called within like 30 minutes.
Wow.
And said, I'm in. I love this. And then my husband's really good friends with Leroy Parnell. So Leroy had recorded this with Diamond Rio and Steve Warner back in the day. So he was like, well, maybe I can call Leroy and see if he'll add the steel guitar on it. And I'm like, oh, that would be so awesome. Leroy just nailed it. Oh my God. My producer said, if anybody asks if Leroy Parnell can still play the slide, yes, he can. and he's so talented too. He is amazing. I actually got to go and do Working Girl Blues with him on stage here at the Don Gibson Theater. So it was amazing. But so once we got it all together and recorded it, it was just magic. Eugene Moles, who was from Bakersfield, his dad played with Merle. He played with Merle. Joe Reed played the bass, and he actually played with Merle as well. And he plays with Leroy Parnell. So it's kind of like a little circle. So this song, there's just so much magic to it. And if you'd have told me that I was going to be on a song with Pam Tillis and Leona Williams, I mean, I would have, that was probably the first thing, with doing this album, that was like, oh my gosh, I've got these people on my album. This was like so cool. And it actually, Working Girl Blues went to #1 on the independent charts. And then I won Album of the Year for Unleashed, and it was at the Grand Ole Opry House. So I have been very, very blessed. A lot of blessings. Just I always say I got Daddy up there pulling some strings for me.
How cool. Like, folks, there's the album cover right there. It's just beautiful. I had to have it up there to show it off.
And I had the vision of that album
because
I had come from 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, I had come from a domestic violence marriage, and I literally had to flee and run with my little boy at the time. He was 4, and I had to run barefooted, and I had to leave everything that I had and start all over again. And that's when Strength of a Woman was wrote. It's when the Undamaged album came, and God made a way for myself and my little boy to we didn't want or need for anything. And it's like it was the time. Like I said, I've done this my whole life, and I've took breaks off and on, raising the older kids, but it was time. And in this I found a little tiny little 400 square foot little home, and me and Cash moved in there, and that's where I found Lee Newton. That's where I found the girl that's not going to sit there and be down. I take everything and I try to be a positive, and I try to lift people up. And it's okay to feel stuff. You're going to go through stuff in your life, and it's what you do with what you go through is what matters. I could have easily, from my childhood, what I've went through with my childhood, what I've went through my life, I could easily just be cold and mean and hard. But, I'm not going to choose to be that way. God had me go through that stuff for a reason, and my reason and my purpose is to write music and to share it with the world. And I know that. And so those songs come from, that period of my life. And going forward, so when I got to the Unleashed album, I had Undamaged, I had, Strength of a Woman, and that just meant that I was undamaged, no matter what I went through. But the Unleashed, I've always loved the Phoenix. I love that, the phoenix comes from the ashes unscathed. You didn't hurt me. They didn't hurt me. They didn't bring me down. And so I said, I've got to have flames. I don't want to come from no ashes. I want to come from the flames, baby. So and actually, I had one of my friends, her brother, made the necklace for me. And it actually has a phoenix. Yeah, the choker. It has a phoenix hanging from it.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, so it's most definitely that album cover was meant to be fierce. I wanted it.
Yeah. Good for you.
So that's the meaning behind the album cover. And normally I do all of my pictures. Every picture you about see of me, I take. I do all my photo shoots by myself. I got my little clicker, and I go to my little Goodwill stores, and I find all these cool dresses, and I love playing dress up. And but this one right here, I went to West Virginia, and a lady named Buffy Jones, she done that picture, and we had the fire department there, and she really captured not only that shot, but there are so many amazing shots. That I have two of my other guitars, and one of them is a Breathe Love guitar. And those photos from that and me playing it on stage actually got me a Breathe Love. I'm one of their pro artists now, and they gave me an endorsement.
Wow.
So I'm one of the Breathe Love pro artists. So that was super, super awesome.
Wow, thank you for that. I mean, fire is a terrible thing, but it can be beautiful in photos like that.
It really can. My husband, he was like, "Well, honey, I can do one and put fire in behind you and do a green screen." I'm like, no.
That's why it's so beautiful.
I'm like, no, it can't be a green screen. I said, this has to be the real thing. It's got to be. And it's funny because it looks like it's a huge, huge fire, but it's really like a brush fire. Okay. And it kept going down. And so in one of the shots, it's funny because you can see the stream of like the gas stuff like squirting to make it all come up. Because it wouldn't stay like that. No. So they'd be like, okay, start walking, and then start squirting the stuff.
Oh, how funny.
It was such a fun photo shoot. I had so much fun doing that one for sure. But yeah, and all the album covers, and even just the album itself, putting the album together. But when I'd see these people on stage, like receiving their awards and all that, and they were talking about the process and the whole album, it's from writing, recording, then you put it and you piece it in. The whole thing just becomes a whole piece of work from beginning to end. And like with Unleashed, it started out with the one little recording I have of me and my daddy when I was 7. And he, starts talking about we're at the cab stand, and, I play a little clip of it, and then it goes into Carolina. The one song I wrote called Be the Man, which is a song that was inspired by my little boy. He gave me, it was the first Valentine's Day, and I was not with anybody. It was right after all that happened. And he had gotten a little ring out of the little toy gumball machine thing, but it had a little ring in it. And I didn't think nothing of it. And so when we got home, he gave me the ring. He said, "Mommy, I'll take care of you forever." He says, "Will you marry me?" And it was so sweet. And about, I don't know, 6-7 months later, I woke up in the middle of the night with the idea of the song. I mean, I was just like typing into this note thing, like, and then it went to, but that song right there, and I have him talking on the beginning of it. So with the Crossroads album, I wanted to continue that. So I have my daddy at the beginning singing "I Saw the Light." Then it goes into me and Rhonda Vincent singing "I Saw the Light."
Oh my God.
And I have Little Cash Man on there singing "Jesus Loves Me" to end it. So, wow. I've tried to, and even the artwork, everything, with Crossroads, I love that picture. I had actually snapped that picture myself. It's one of the fields around here that I drive by, and I love the field because there's beautiful sunsets, and it's just beautiful. And but that one is just, it's almost like God was shining the rays down on me. There's no editing to that picture. It is what it is. It's just the sun coming down, the beams, and I didn't want my face shown because that album wasn't about me. It wasn't about, it was just an album to put out there for everybody. So
what is your social media so our listeners and viewers can get all of your albums and follow you?
it is, well, I have my website, which is Lee Newton Official. And I always joke because if you remember Newton, everybody always thinks I'm Juice Newton's daughter. So they'll be like, I'm like, yeah, Wayne Newton's my dad, Fig Newton's my dad. But anyway, but yeah, you can go to Lee Newton Official. And all of the socials are under Lee Newton or Lee Newton Music. And I'm very active on my social media. I love to talk to people. I love interacting. I mean, I'm an open book. I literally, my husband and I, we love, he's, like I said, he's an artist as well. And he is getting ready to release his album, and we've done stuff together, and we love people. We love meeting people.
Yeah.
And God sent me him. So I got somebody to love me good, and loves music, and loves family and morals and values. So
great. Wow. Well, we have truly enjoyed talking to you. This is amazing, your career, everything. And we know you're going to be up at the Grand Ole Opry as a member soon. You keep this all up, and we look forward to all your upcoming albums coming. Keep in touch. We will be putting this up on our YouTube channel, the Hollywood Times Official. And
go download Carolina Rain. That's my new single out right now, produced by Dolly Parton's producer, Kent Wells and Dave Fowler, and I'm just so proud of it.
Oh, we'll put up a link for that so that our readers can click on that and get it for you. So we appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much.
And make sure you stay safe out there and all that snow coming your way.
I got a lot of food coming. I got some stuff to make some snow cream too, so we're good.
That's amazing. Very cool. Well, thank you again, once again, for talking with us. You have a blessed day.
Thank you so much, Judy. Thank you.
You're welcome.